Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I'm still on my mission. I'm going to fail my mission, but I'm on my mission to use up these magazine papers before the end of December. Yeah, this is probably going to get posted on the 30th of December. I suppose there's still one more day. I might, you never know. Oh, never mind. I suspect I won't, and I suspect I'll be doing these in the new year as well. But anyway, I do make 3 cards. 2 of them are very similar, almost the exact same recipe. I just flipped one of the papers and slightly changed the positions of some elements. But yeah, these are pretty much the same. I'm using the Kingston Crafts pastel cardstock in the sort of like peachy colour. For the card base and for a layer, and then I'm using a reasonable chunk of the peachy coloured and a reasonable chunk of the green, and I use some of the red and I use some of the blue, so I do try to use quite a lot in this particular one. Basically I've decided with a background panel. Sorry, I'm sounding a bit lispy. I've got an ulcer on the side of my tongue. It's really annoying me. You didn't need to know that. I'm just telling you that's why I sound a little bit strange. I've not really got full use of my tongue. It's just really come up overnight. I don't know why. Anyway, probably just a little bit tired. It's probably all the rich food I've eaten over Christmas. Anyway, I decided a background panel of the peach, and then I'm going in with the white embossing powder and the 2 more rounded flower stamps. I used the quite spiky part of the stamp for the cards I did that were on the video yesterday. This one I went with the more rounded flower, which I think is also really pretty. I think these flowers and the leaves are probably stamps that I will come back to time and time again, even when I'm not using it as a magazine kit. I probably will come back to them over and over again. I am stamping the flowers again onto the red piece, and these ones I'm going to fussy cut out, whereas the green ones were for the background panel. So I am again heat embossing them using the white. Obviously we all know and we're all crying about the Versamark that I managed to mucky up making the previous cards, so yeah, a little bit frustrating. I know that there are dies that cut some of the flowers out that come with the magazine, but to be honest, they're quite easy to cut out, and I just find it just easy to just get on with the pair of scissors than be faffing around using dies for these, to be honest. Yeah, just isn't going to happen on this particular occasion. Maybe it'll happen on future cards, because obviously there is still papers left over at the end of this crafting session. So yeah, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I've got time to craft tomorrow. Today was probably my last day where I'm doing absolutely nothing. Oh no, maybe the 30th I'll get to do absolutely nothing, so maybe I'll get to craft on that day as well. But that video, if I was to film a video, won't be going up until the new year. But anyway, I digress. Right, I am now moving on to and using the kind of tealy blue colour. I'm using more of the teal colour than the blue. You can see there's blue towards the left hand side of that panel. I'm using the other side of it, and that's what I'm going to do the leaves with. Again, using the white embossing powder, I think it just really brightens it up and looks quite funky. Using the white embossing powder when you've got like the pattern paper behind it. And obviously because the paper is quite a subtle pattern at this point, I'm kind of using what's probably been designed as the back of the paper. The other side's probably got more pattern on it. But yeah, they are quite subtle, but they work really well. And it just gives you a lovely variance of colour behind the embossed lines. Makes it easy. There's no colouring involved. In fact, I don't think I did any colouring. Have I done any colouring? No, I don't think I have. None of the cards I've made in these crafty sessions where I'm trying to use up the paper have I done any colouring, because I've gone with using the pattern paper as the base, and that's provided the colour for the elements instead. So that's probably why. Now, I do need at some point to have a little look through that magazine now, because I have had a tiny little look through it, but I am sort of running out of ideas now. Plus, I've not got much in terms of the pattern paper I mean, I've still got pattern paper left, don't get me wrong, but I haven't got much where I'm going, oh, that's dead obvious what to do with that. There isn't an obvious thing. So I do need to go and have a little look through the magazine and see if they can give me any other ideas on using up the pattern paper that I've got left, and if there's anything else I could do with it that's a bit different. Right, for each of the panels, I sort of did a topper panel, which I don't always do, but sometimes it's nice to just get that little bit of separation from the card base. So for each of them, I did outline the edge with a pro marker. Really subtle, to be honest. She says swallowing because she can't swallow properly with this tongue being weird. But yeah, you can't see much of it, to be honest. It's very subtle, but it just gives a little bit of definition between the layers. Now, I decided for this one I would mount that green floral panel onto a piece of cream, and I have added a little bit of dimension behind, just to give it, again, a little bit of separation between the different layers. And now I'm just adhering all of my leaves and my floral elements. I chose to use sentiments that were from a different Stamp and Die set. They're an Altershoe set. No, ignore me, they're a waffle flower set. I chose to use those instead because they were already done and it just made my life a bit easier. And also, I must admit, the sentiments that are in the stamp set are not really, well, they're all right, but they're a little bit wordy, if you know what I mean. They've got quite a few words in them rather than just like this one is, thanks so much, I think it says. So I just wanted something simple. And I've got quite a few of these already stamped and die cut and stacked ready. So I chose green for one and a reddish colour for another one. So that's the first one. For the second one, I chose to change the very background panel rather than it being the plainer one, but to the more pattern one, just to see what it looked like. And I thought it looked all right, so I just went for it. This one I decided to mat and layer the green piece, this time with a piece of the pattern paper. See, I am still trying my hardest to use it all up, but just gave it a little peach outline. Just separated it from that background. It's quite a busy background. And again, I'm just then adhering my flowers and my leaves, slightly different configuration, but pretty much the same idea. I'm just using wet glue because I want them to stick down. They are quite flimsy because they are paper, not a cardstock, because they've been done on the pattern paper, but they work fine. And with a little bit of pressure on them, once they've been glued in place, they work fine and they stick nicely. This one I went a little bit flatter. I didn't add the extra layer of cardstock in between, so it is a flatter one. And you can see the position of that, the floral panel is slightly different on both of them. Now, I've got this little pot that's just got some like die cut circles out of random cardstock. It's like a cover plate die that I've run through my die cutting machine at various points, and I've just got these circles left over. I just find it quite handy to have a flat embellishment sometimes rather than always bringing in a gem. And so for these I just brought in some white circles, added a bit of Wink of Stella to them, and they were flat and they worked really well as floral elements. Now with all the cards, because I'm using coloured card for the card blank, I'm adding an insert and then I'm just adding a little bit of paper. Now, I did do a bit of cleaning. Tidying up and organising the papers. So I've put all of the big papers to one side. And I'm just going to work with the little papers at this point. And I'm deciding that I'm going to do a technique I have done it before. I actually think I've done it before, but in a different way for the using up a magazine challenge before, using tiny bits. So I'm covering the whole of the front of that paper with double-sided adhesive. It's just a piece of scrap cardstock. Okay, and then taking off the release paper so that it's all sticky on the front. And now I'm just going to use bits and pieces of that pattern paper and I'm going to cover it. But when I say cover it, what I'm actually doing is leaving a small gap in between each of the pieces, which then I will add gilding flakes too. So I've definitely seen this sort of like crazy paving mosaic type technique. I've definitely seen Sarah do it. Sarah's Stamping Retreat is her YouTube channel. I've definitely seen her do it. But I just thought it was a perfect way to try and use up some of those pieces. I've still got quite a few scraps left, but I only made one card using this technique. Because to be honest, I was running out of time when I was filming this, and I just needed to get this card finished. So at this point, I've gone off and hunted for my gilding flakes, and I just took that one sheet that was kind of loose, rather than just the flakes, and I pressed it in, and I'm using my finger to really rub in all of the pieces into the cracks, and it looks like that Japanese technique that they do when something's broken, they then fix it and enhance it with gold, so it actually makes it more precious. I can't remember the name. It's like Kurosaki or something like that. I've probably said that completely wrong, so apologies. But yeah, it's a beautiful like a pottery type technique. Right, I've then mounted that onto the bluey colour paper. That's one of the larger pieces. So you can see that I'm reaching across to the right because that's where the larger pieces of the paper are. And now I'm going to make a card front base panel with the green. So it's quite a heavy green card, this. Again, I'm going with that thanks so much sentiment because it's just easy. And now I'm going to... what was I doing? Oh, I was looking for something else because I wanted another mount. I wanted something to mount it that was a lighter colour, just to give it a bit more differentiation between the background and the front of the front topper. Now, I did contemplate just leaving it like this, to be honest, because it is beautiful, but then I'm still in a bid to use up paper, aren't I? That was my thing. So instead, I decided, no, I'm going to do more of those flowers. So I'm heat embossing the flower using gold this time rather than the white, because it's going to go with that gold, the gilding flakes that I've just included. And I'm going to make it a double layer flower with the smaller one as well as the big one is what I decided. So again, just need to heat emboss that as well, and then fussy cut those out. That's a theme. I think once I've got a certain idea in my head, I just kind of keep going with it until I get bored or run out of energy or time, which is actually what happened on this occasion. Actually, probably all three. But yeah, so very similar in terms of, obviously there was two that were exactly the same, just a slightly different configuration and the paper's slightly changed, but otherwise pretty much made them at the same time. This one different because it's using all those scraps, but again it's got the embossed flowers as the linked thing. And again, I've gone and grabbed circle for the centre of the flower just to finish it off. I didn't add any Wink of Stella to that one. Now I needed some cardstock in order to make a card blank. This time I went and grabbed another sheet of that peachy colour, which is the Kingston's Crafts cardstock. I've got quite a lot of that pastel cardstock still to work through, so it's going to last me a while. But it's perfect because it works really well with these papers. And then I forgot on camera to add an insert. I did do that after, when I was taking the photographs. I realised I'd not done it, so I did add an insert just of the plain paper with a strip of cardstock. But there you go, 3 more cards. I think we will be seeing this magazine kit in 2026. I will try my hardest to finish it before I start my next magazine kit challenge, which I'd really wanted to start in January, so maybe I'll get it done early point of January, but you know, it'll be busy. We've got quite a few things going on, who knows. Maybe I'll actually just put this to one side, forget about it, and then come back to it later in 2026 and go, hey, remember this? I've still got some stuff left. Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know. We shall see. I hope you've enjoyed it. There is a whole playlist. This is, I think, video 23 from this series. So there's been a lot of projects using this magazine kit. And obviously I'm focusing very much on the papers at the moment. There is also the embossing folder, lots of stamps and the die set. So hey ho. Please subscribe to see future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.